Right, today what I want to demonstrate is how to tie a parachute fly. Now, parachute flies are tied in many different varieties. This would be one using quill stems and wings with the quills bent back up this way to make the post that the parachute is wound around. Okay, of course that looks like a giant mayfly. But this type of fly, rather than us taking the hackle and winding it this way, or winding it back and forth this way, we're winding the hackle in a horizontal plane so that the fly will land like this on the water. It'll sit up on top of its little hackle like that, and looks amazingly accurate sitting on the water. Up in Colorado, I've had some pretty good luck with different types of parachutes, especially ones in a yellow or in a blue dun pattern. There are also several different ways to tie the post. The part here that we're going to wind around. This one is tied with calf tail. This one is quill bodied. You can see that the body's made out of quill stem, quill hackle stem. The body can also be made, of course, something like this, where you have used floss to wind the body. But one of my favorites is the quill stem. I also like to make the post with the Antron yarn, or even with wool fibers, or with snowshoe rabbit fur. But in general, a material that is very waterproof is what you like to use. Today I'm picking about this is a size 16 and a Tiemco 200R hook. I'm a real fan of the Tiemco 200R hook. It's a great hook for extended body flies, for a lot of the nymph patterns that we use, for several different dry flies. It's just a really good hook, and there's several different companies that make similar patterned hooks. I don't know if you can hear that little almost musical springiness. It gives you an idea of the quality of the temper of the hook. If you put a hook in your vise and you tighten it up good and tight, and you do this, and it goes thud, 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 it's not nearly as good a spring steel as this. That's a good hook. Okay, I'm going to use an olive thread, kind of a medium olive green. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start off, I'm going to wrap the whole hook shank. Come back here to the tail, and then I want to go ahead and clip off the extra, and then I'm going to wind back up about 4 or 5 wraps here. Now the tail I'm going to use today, since I'm going to make this one predominantly a black and yellow looking pattern, I'm going to go ahead and use this type of Antron yarn. This is a good sparkly looking orange Antron as well. So I'm going to start off, cut a piece of the Antron, and I'm going to tie in the tail first. Come here and bind it down, wind back over it. Now, if you want the tail to kind of stand up a bit, then up under here initially, make a bit of a hump of your tying thread right at the tail, and then tie in your tail just in front of it, and it'll make the tail flare and stick up just a bit. Okay, I'm more concerned about this fly sitting up and floating, and so what I want to try to do is try to control the weight in it a little bit, and go ahead at the same time and leave some materials up under here to build up the body, because the body built of Antron floats. So if you kind of build the body up of Antron, you're not going to hurt a thing when it comes to the buoyancy. So what I do is I tie it in like this, and I'm going to run this forward. Go ahead and get a piece that's, say, 3 times the length of your hook shank, because I'm going to actually use this as the post. And I'm just going to wind it forward here. Now what I want to do in order to make this come out about right is you want to tie the base of the post. For this pattern, I'm going to put it roughly 1/3 of the way back on the hook shank. So I'll start out right along in here, and I'm going to gather these fibers together, pull it up, and they come in front of it and tie up under it this way. Now what I'm doing there is what a lot of fly tyers call tying a thread dam. I'm building a dam up of thread here that's going to make the post, as we're going to call it, where we tie off our hackle, stand up. Sometimes you get a kind of a knotty mess in there. If you do, you just want to clean it up a little bit. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come up and around, and I'm going to hold this. I know that may be a little hard to see, but what I want to do here is come around the base of it and take a turn. Pull it up, come around, take the base, take a turn, and I'm going to start to build up here at the base. Now, depending on what you're tying in here, if this is something like calf tail, it helps to anchor the base of it and make the material where it'll hold up a little better. You can also, of course, tie the post using several different materials. Now I'm going to come around and wind this down and wind it back. Come around this way. And what I've done is I've tied a post. I've used the same material for the tail, wound it forward, pulled this up, and I know it may be a little bit tricky to see, but in here there's several wraps going this way around the base like that. Now if you use the same piece of material to go from here to up, there's not much chance it's going to get pulled out of here because it's completely anchored this whole length. Now I like to use a feather that on your hackle, you've got some feathers in here that they have their applications, of course, in fly tying. Everything on the patch has got its use, but some of these feathers are not as useful for a lot of things. So what I'll do with them is strip them out and use them for my quill stems. I like to use the grizzly because, as you can see, the grizzly has got a variegated pattern to it. Now what I'm going to do here